Hello and welcome to this episode of the Red Zone Podcast, Week 11 edition of college football. I am joined by my co-host, Riley Davis. I just like froze for a sec. I was like, oh, I'm going to do the word thing, and then I froze because I went too fast in my intro.
And this is
The Red Zone Podcast. God, I shouldn't.
this.
Damn. Red Zone Podcast, Week 11 edition, where everyone's mad now. College football is imploding on itself. The college football playoff rankings last night have gotten incredible reception from the pundits and the fans. And by incredible, I mean everyone hates it, except for me. Well,
I don't
I hate
hate
one
it.
part about it. I hate that Indiana has to play Alabama in this
Well, that's
ranking.
the prediction. It's probably going to change after this week.
Yeah, probably. Well, not after this week. We're on a bye week this week, and Alabama plays Mercer. So, barring a absolutely cataclysmic collapse from Alabama
Well,
against
also, I'm
Mercer.
not mad about it.
Mm.
What? Of course, I'm not mad about it
No,
because we're
I know.
ranked.
I just don't agree with where you're ranked.
I'm aware you don't, and we'll
Um,
discuss it. How are you
well,
though? Before we get into
I'm
that.
I'm good. Slowly recovering from the Michigan game. That was stressful, and also my voice died, and I had a pretty massive headache. Um, Pretty incredible display from all of my teams on Saturday. I just want to shout out my sports day. Liverpool wins to go 5 points top of the league in the Premier League. Indiana beats Michigan, like real statement win. Alabama pimp slaps and dog walks LSU for 4 quarters. Atlanta pulls off the biggest upset in MLS playoff history, which was unreal. That was pretty awesome. And
Yeah.
so, 4 for 4.
The
And
next one.
Georgia
When is the next? Is
lost
it Saturday or Friday? Saturday, right?
Sunday. Sunday the
Oh.
24th. So I will be in Atlanta to watch that game with family and, friends and stuff like that.
I won't.
Um, yeah, tough. This isn't a soccer podcast, but Atlanta United spent the better part of this entire year being absolutely awful at soccer. Didn't deserve to make the playoffs, somehow made the playoffs, got lucky, won in a penalty shootout, and then beat Miami. So, this team has 9 lives. They've used about 20 of those 9 lives, and they're still standing. So
Did
we'll
you
see how
see
they play against Orlando.
the Atlanta United Instagram posted Brad Guzan as sexiest man alive?
Atlanta United Instagram has been on a tear the last 4 days since they won. But how have you been this week? Or I guess since we
Good.
recorded on Thursday.
I went to Nashville
Mm,
Friday to the Vandy game, which was fun. Got to go downtown Friday night. Um, and then it was a fun game. Obviously turned out really well. Um, and yeah, I don't know. It was chill. Now I got a lot of tests coming up next week. I have
I have a math test
five.
tomorrow. I have a math test tomorrow. I'm definitely gonna bomb, but
I have
you know,
three German tests. One
that's
on
insane.
Friday, one on Monday, and one on the next Friday.
That's unreal.
It's not the best.
No. Well, do we wanna hit the news real quick? Um,
Sure.
Everyone's pissed off about the college football playoff rankings.
Yeah.
Um, USC has been put on probation for coaching violations. Nico Iamaleava is still uncertain to play against UGA, which we'll talk about that when we talk about the UGA Ole Miss game and we preview Tennessee UGA. But I mean, little spoiler to what I think about that game. I think that game hinges on whether or not Iamaleava plays. Like if he plays in that game, Tennessee wins. If he doesn't, Tennessee loses. So there's a lot to be said about.
If oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah, a lot to be said about whether or not Iamaleava is going to be healthy. Seems to be concussion related stuff, so it's very wishy-washy whether or not he will actually be available. Um, and Kirby Smart said that he was wrong in calling his defensive end an idiot for seeing a childhood friend in the field storming after they lost to Ole Miss. Um, this probably due to the fact that he got a lot of criticism this week because he was a little bit madder about a player seeing a childhood friend than like the 18 counts of speeding that one time a guy beat his wife, and then this other time the guy beat his wife while she was pregnant. So, good to see that Kirby's, you know,
He has his priorities in line.
his priorities are in straight. He cares more about that than, like DUIs and reckless driving and domestic abuse and like abusing a pregnant woman. But, UGA has a major culture problem, and I don't think that's going to change as long as that bumbling idiot with a 6-year-old haircut is their head coach. Um,
Tell us how you really
anyway,
feel, mate.
what do you want me to say?
No,
Look at
I'm
how he
joking. That
acted
was
about that.
joking. No, I
Look at how he acted
understand.
about that.
No,
Oh
I
my
agree
God.
with you. I think
No,
he's
I
an
know.
asshole.
I mean, I
He's
like.
obviously an asshole if he doesn't care about the multiple crimes that his freaking players have
I mean,
committed.
he
But the second one
probably
of his players
cares.
shows like actual joy, he's like, yeah, he's so stupid. What an
He
idiot. It's
he
like, I'm
probably
sorry.
cares, but like he
You have to
might
be
only
vocal about
care
it.
because it's yeah. That's the thing.
Yeah.
You can't just
Because
like
like he might only like he turns a blind eye because then it would affect like who plays on the team. But this is like it kind of makes UGA football look bad, and he's like, what an idiot. But now,
but
like,
the many counts of reckless driving
yeah,
and
exactly.
abuse
How does that
doesn't
not
make the
look?
program look bad.
Apparently not. But he doesn't want to
UGA,
lose his players, you know?
I mean, the thing is, I think it's been really interesting to track how many people have started to really hate UGA fans over the last few years. And it was like they started winning, and like obviously your fan base is going to be hated when they start winning. Like everyone hates Michigan fans,
Like
everyone hates
Alabama.
Alabama fans, everyone hates Clemson fans, everyone hates Ohio State fans. But like Georgia's a special case because their fans are kind of stupid, and like and then their coach just kind of comes out and also is an idiot, and then their players are stupid. I don't know.
I don't
It's
know.
it's a
They're kind of
it's
like, I think I've said this before, like Patrick
oh,
Mahomes, where they like freaking worship the ground he walks on, even though he's not that good. And I think
I'm good.
it's the same with like the announce
Hold on,
because that's
one
what
sec, one
you said
sec, one sec,
earlier.
one sec, one sec. What did you say before that? You cut out, and then you picked up with Patrick Mahomes.
Oh, I was saying like I've said this before that like sometimes people like a lot of the commentators and like people just treat UGA and Carson Beck like Pat Mahomes and the Chiefs where they
That's a good
like
comparison.
freaking worship the ground that they walk on even though they're not that good. Like the people who talk about earlier so like before he started showing throwing like 3 interceptions a game, like Carson Beck #1 country in the nation maybe and then he's like throwing all these interceptions. You're like you can't keep saying this. And then it's still like
Number one country in the nation.
#1. Did I say that?
My favorite country, Carson Beck.
He's my favorite country. #1 quarterback in the nation.
I would
Anyway,
wage war on that country.
meanwhile, like he's actually throwing like trashy interceptions and like 3 or 4 a game.
He's also
Um,
more worried about getting with women than throwing touchdown passes.
yeah. I forgot what I was gonna say before you said pause, go back. And now I'm like, wait, what was I saying?
You were just
It
talking
was something
about
about
like
you said. It was something that you said, but I for it's gone now.
I was
I
trying to
feel like
because
it's gonna
I
be a
was
good
trying to
point.
get the viewers
Yeah.
to know what you were trying to say to begin that.
You could have
Anyway,
been
let's
better.
let's look at this thing that definitely won't make us argue for the next 10 minutes. The college football playoff rankings came out, and everyone hates them. So,
Except for me.
well, yeah, except for Riley. I have a few strong opinions, and most of them are basically just about Indiana, and the disrespect that we've been getting over the greater part of the last week. I don't know when Indiana turned into the bad guy of this season, but all the ESPN media pundits and fans on the internet have just kind of decided that Indiana shouldn't be where they are, and then they're just going to start hating them and be like, oh, they're going to get their ass kicked against Ohio State. And we might get our ass kicked against Ohio State, but we have won every single game this year by an average margin of like 28 points. So, yeah.
That's what I was gonna say. Is it you said earlier that like if UGA wins out and then Indiana has one loss that they'd probably put UGA in the playoffs instead of y'all because they like UGA more. That's what I was gonna say.
And also, they're going to look at Indiana. They're going to look at UGA's strength of record. At that point, they would have beaten They would have beaten Tennessee, who's a top 10 team, and we would have lost to the one top 10 team we played.
Yeah,
Even though I think we pass the eye test better than UGA does. Um, but you can also make that argument that we passed that eye test because we played a bunch of bad teams. All I'm going to say is that Indiana deserves to be ranked fifth or sixth. I will concede and say that I probably would put BYU ahead of us in the rankings. They just have better wins than we do. but like we're
BYU's
undefeated in the
kind of been crazy this season.
BYU is walking on rain. They are dancing through the raindrops right now. They have been
They really
in way
are.
too many close games recently. Um,
Utah.
but I think I think people don't give us still haven't given us the respect we deserve. And if we beat Ohio State, there's not a damn thing a single person can say.
There's
If
not.
there is still people saying that this isn't a contending team after we beat Ohio, if we beat Ohio State, then at that point you're just saying it to say it, to be like
I got a
you're just
question.
like rage baiting and shit like that.
I got a question.
I got an answer.
Okay. If y'all beat Ohio State, I mean, no, pause. That's not my question. If y'all lose against Ohio State, like this is a, I'm not, this is a genuine question. It's not to throw shade or anything. If y'all, like, let's say you guys get like freaking, like, you lose badly to Ohio State, and then you actually, they still put you in the playoffs, and then first round playoffs, you lose badly again, then in like your opinion, do people have like a valid
Yeah, at
argument or
that
no?
point.
Okay.
But you can't say that until you've seen this team
Until it
in a
happened.
litmus
Well, I
test.
know.
And
I
like
know.
the
I'm
thing
just,
that
that's my question.
no, I know. I wasn't saying that to like you. That's
Yeah,
what I'm
yeah.
saying like as a whole when it comes to Indiana this year is that there's just people who keep saying saying stuff, but Indiana hasn't done it yet. So you can't be like this team's going to get obliterated when they play a good team because they haven't. We don't know how they're gonna show out against Ohio State. They could either get their ass kicked, they could win, they could lose a close tight one, and then if they lose in a tight one, then they show that they have that strength to play against a team, and they deserve to be in the top 12. If they beat Purdue the next week and are 11-1, I think it. We just need to see it. We need to see where they are. Um, Also, I'd have Alabama higher, which I mean, I don't know who I put him ahead of Miami, I think, and I'd put him ninth. I think
You just have them swap
Bama's playing their best ball right now, which is
right
what you need
now.
to see
They
from them.
weren't.
But
That's why they're kind of like in timeout right now, I feel like.
since they lost to Tennessee, they have played their best ball against Missouri. Pitched a shutout. I mean, Brady Cook was injured, but offense looked really good. And then LSU, like the only reason they scored 13 points in that game was because they scored a garbage time touchdown when Alabama had their second strings in. So if that never happens, Bama winning that game 42-6. And so like I think they're playing their best ball, went into Death and like everyone the whole week is talking about the allure of the night game at Death Valley. You know the team that's never been affected by that? Alabama. They have the most wins in night games in Death Valley out of any team in college football. And that's because they do what they do. They're not scared about Death Valley. They walked in. Milrow decided to just turn into God for a game. And, like, they were good. I would put them ninth. And other than that, I mean, I have some issues with how some teams are ranked in the lower parts, um, namely yours. But, I mean, there's both of my teams are ranked in the top 10, and Riley is frozen. Well, that's cool. Anyway, I'm going to keep talking. Well, both of my teams are ranked in the top 10. It's pretty cool. And yeah, we'll see how in 2 weeks what it'll look like. Oh no. Oh no. This is bad. Solo podcast now. Riley is just gone. I might have to pause the recording.
Hello.
Uh, oh
Oh
my God, you're
no.
back. Jesus Christ, you were gone for like a
Oh,
minute and a half.
I know. I literally, you froze, and then I was just, and then it gave me like your internet's unstable, and then I stopped hearing anything, and I was like, oh
Can you get a better
no.
computer?
My,
And you
I
froze
don't.
again. You
What?
froze for a split sec. Please get a
Oh,
better computer for the life of me.
don't shame my computer, okay? It's trying its best. It was
I will
born in.
shame your computer every single day until it fixes itself and stops
That's
pausing
mean.
every 13 seconds.
Hey, the work that this computer has put in. Do you know how many freaking thumbnails and Instagram posts I've made on this computer? Too many for it to handle.
Well, obviously not enough, given that no one listened to last episode.
Okay. I don't
Anyway,
make the reels on this computer, but
okay. Um, do you want to talk about South Carolina being ranked 21st?
sure. I think it is safe to. I didn't hear anything you said
I
about
was basically
us.
saying that I didn't think South Carolina. I wasn't like didn't go into my reason on why I thought it, but I said that I think South Carolina should be ranked 23rd, which is where they are in the AP poll, because I don't think you can warrant putting a 6-3 team ahead of a 9-0 team, and you can't warrant putting South Carolina ahead of LSU when LSU has the head-to-head.
I would agree with the LSU. I think we should probably be 22nd in terms of LSU. And I do get like Army is 9-0 and we're 6-3, but I don't know. I feel like I don't know. I don't get how Army is like so much freaking lower than they are in the AP poll.
It's
It's wild to me what they
They
do to
have
some
the
people.
Indiana problem. They haven't really played anyone this year,
Yeah.
and they get
Well,
their test
that's why
against
I
Notre
feel
Dame.
like
They get
that's
their test
probably
against
why
Notre
we're
Dame this
above
week.
them. That's why we're probably above them.
But
It's because
Indiana's
like
fifth.
I mean our three losses are like losses are that are expected, two of which were almost upsets. We've upset one ranked team. We've technically upset a lot of people, but like ranked wise, we upset Texas A&M. We Kentucky was technically an upset. And so like I don't know. I
I wouldn't count Kentucky as an upset.
Going
I
into the
think
week it was.
I think you can't just like both of you guys were unranked, so it's kind of hard to be like an unranked team being an unranked team is an upset. I think you can kind of only say that if an unranked team beats a ranked team, which is why I would say you guys have one upset and it's against A&M. Like you can be predicted to
Yeah.
win or lose a game, but when you're both unranked, it becomes a little like tedious.
I don't know. I I don't know. I just know that like going into Texas or going into the Kentucky game, like after a pretty mid-ish game, that was like that after like kind of struggling a little bit against Old Dominion and then going into Kentucky after they had just like that was the week after they almost beat
But also
Georgia.
now we know that Kentucky's like
No, it
three and
wasn't.
six,
That's
so it's
true.
kind of hard to like say that you guys upset a 3-6 team, and also
Going into
knowing
the
that
week, we
like
looked rough. I
yeah,
will
I
just say
mean
that.
I can get that, but I think it's hard to look at that as an upset now.
Yeah.
I mean, South
But
Carolina should be ranked 100. I want to preface like all of which I'm saying.
yeah,
South Carolina deserves to be ranked at the point they are in, but it should only be 23rd.
I think 22nd, but yeah. Um, I don't know. I'm just glad we finally are ranked because I was a little worried that they weren't going to, and then we kind of
Which was
killed
insane, by
Vandy.
the way. I want to just like talk about how insane it was last week. You're like, oh my God, what if we win out and they still don't rank us? Like they weren't gonna rank a
Because
nine, like they weren't
because
gonna rank a 9-3 SEC team.
well, hey, they
Look at
hate us
Georgia.
too. They don't like us.
They hate
That's
both
why
of
we
our
weren't
teams,
ranked.
but they
That's why
like
they
you
weren't
guys more
ranked
because you're
after.
SEC, and obviously there's that
We have a
SEC
hard ass
bias,
schedule, sir.
which is turned out to actually not be as hard as we all thought it was gonna be.
You were just making fun of us for having three losses. Like,
Yeah,
okay.
I
Anyways,
mean,
we still do have a
both can
hard
be
schedule.
true. I think there's a lot of games that ended up turning out like easier than you guys thought they would be. I don't think anyone thought
I
the
think it's
Oklahoma
also
game was
like
going to be as easy as that was.
no. Well, I think it's also like we include like other people, including ourselves. Like we've underestimated ourselves, and other people have underestimated us. And then, but like the thing is, it's well placed is the only thing because it's like there will be weeks like our season opener this year was against Old Dominion, and we struggled in the first half and almost were trailing behind against Old Dominion. How
Oregon
the
almost
heck does
lost to
that happen?
Idaho.
Yeah, that's true, and they're number one in the country right now.
Anyway,
I don't know. We flip flop. So it's everything. Nothing is predictable about South Carolina football, which is why it makes things like Kentucky seem like an upset. And it's just why I'm slightly nervous for Missouri because the last like five
you guys can't lose to
times
Missouri.
we've lost to them in the last
They're
five
so
times we've
bad.
played them.
They're
We
so
have
bad.
lost the last
They're
five matchups.
so bad. You cannot lose to Missouri.
2019, wait, no. 2018, 2019, 20, no. Pause. Why can't I remember years? 2019,
This feels
2020,
unrelated.
2022,
We
2023,
got we got
2020.
we got like an
Yeah,
hour
wait.
of recording time left. And we haven't even talked
Oh
about the
shoot, we
controversy,
do.
other controversy at the top.
Okay.
Which all of it is I think is fine. I think would put BYU maybe ahead of us. Miami drops 5 places, losing to Georgia Tech, which is fine. And then Georgia, arguably playing their worst game, not even arguably, the worst they've played since the first half of the Alabama game. Um, they looked like dog shit. Nothing worked. Their offensive line was allowing too much pressure. The run game couldn't get going. Passing game couldn't get going. Beck played way too conservative for what he needed to do. Uh, I mean, this is
You
basically we're
want
just
to
talking
throw
about the
in more
game at this point.
interceptions.
But like, it bad game from Georgia. I think they suck, and I think there's a high chance they lose to Tennessee if Iamaliava is playing. If Iamaliava isn't playing, they're going to win because Tennessee's backup kind of sucks. But like they 100%, I think, have a good chance of losing to Tennessee if Iamaliava is playing. If they lose to Tennessee, they're out. They cannot warrant putting a three-loss Georgia team in the college football playoffs. Like over like Boise or at that point Indiana if they have one loss. Um, there's going to be teams that have better resumes than Georgia, and that's when we're going to see if the playoff really puts name over like name brand over actual performance. Because a
I feel
three-loss
like
Georgia team should
just the
not make the
further
playoffs.
the further that the 12-team playoff goes is the more pissed off people are going to get. Because if they don't put Georgia in the playoffs, Georgia fans will be pissed off. If they do put
Who
Georgia in the playoffs,
cares?
everyone else is going to
Who
be
cares
pissed off.
about Georgia fans? They won two
They
straight
do.
national champ. Oh, okay, but we know Georgia fans. They bark at children. They're not necessarily the greatest judge of
No,
character.
but that's why they would put them back in the playoffs is because they've won two straight national championships. So they're like, "Oh, this will look good. Put them in still."
I mean, do we remember? We're talking about all this. Last year, Georgia went from 1 to 8, or one to
They're
six, I
falling from
think.
grace very fast.
They went from 1 to 6 after a loss to an Alabama team they really should have beat at that point. Um, and yeah, that was, and I like Ole Miss getting put up to 11th. I think that's they should be ahead of Georgia. I still think there's a little disrespect to SMU, who has beaten ranked teams and has only losses to BYU.
They've
Um,
just pushed them down.
so we'll see. We'll see what happens with the rankings.
Remember also when we talked about Georgia's cupcake schedule at the beginning of the year, and then it wasn't super cupcake, but that
Not
like
this year. Last year it was. This year
last
this
year.
year I said that I was like, this year it was a better step for them. Last year was bad. They played one ranked team like the whole. They played one ranked team the whole year. They're Indiana. They were 20. They were this Indiana team with one more ranked game than we had. And yeah, they won it, but like, come on. And then they played a good team and they lost. Anyway, it's been really annoying to see the debate about Indiana this week because it's not deserved. Can we please just like let us enjoy the fact we're 10-0? But let's get into this kind of wild week of college football that we had. Kicking off, obviously we have all of our teams' games. Number one Oregon beats number unranked Maryland 39-18. Riley, will you do the honors?
Who cares?
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Number two Ohio State beats unranked Purdue 45-0. Who cares?
Oh, that was crunchy.
Yeah. And number three Georgia loses to number 16 Ole Miss 28-10. When I tell you that I wish that this wasn't during the Indiana game, because this would have been one of the most glorious hate watches I have ever had in my whole life. I've been waiting for Georgia to have this game for 4 goddamn years. I have been waiting for Georgia to get systematically wrecked to this level in a game, and they got embarrassed by Ole Miss in Vaughn Hemingway Stadium on Saturday.
Yeah, that was bad. But slight improvement. Carson Beck only threw 1 interception.
Give him the Heisman.
Number 1 quarterback, number 1 country in the nation.
Number one country in the nation. Carson Beck only threw 1 interception and only had 1 fumble lost. What a hero. Hero of our nation.
Yeah.
Wow, we both really hate Georgia.
I'm sorry.
I'm not.
I got
You aren't
lot of
either.
friends
Why are
there
you
now.
apologizing?
I'm not on the inside, but I can say I'm sorry.
type
For
shit.
image. It's for
Do we care
image.
about our image, given all the things that we've said about Georgia at this point? Remember at the beginning of the
No.
podcast where you said that their head coach prioritized players seeing
Oh,
old
this
friends over
episode?
beating their
Yeah,
wives?
it's true.
Anyway, this game was a little like insane. Like they had a squirrel come on the field at one point. The Ole Miss fans rushed the field 16 seconds early. Um,
Which I think is really funny.
yeah, and Ole Miss kicked a lot of field goals in this game. They kicked five of them. They got 15 points off of field goals. So I mean, once again, whenever we talk about Georgia, it's always offensive issues. Their defense wasn't great, but if their
Their
defense,
offense lets them down. They're like us.
yeah,
Anyways.
they have a much better defense than their offense helps them with. So, like in the Alabama game, like yeah, their defense kind of sucked in the first half, but like their defense was good in the second half, and their offense didn't let them down, but was very close. Um, and yeah, this was kind of the game that the two of us have been saying Georgia was going to have at one point this season. Like, can we can
I
give
think
ourselves
they're gonna
pats
have
on
it
the we can give
again
ourselves
next
pat
week,
we
though.
can give ourselves pats on the back because last week we said that we both thought Ole Miss was going to win because there was too many problems with Georgia, and then that happened.
I'm not gonna lie though. In my opinion, it's not a super hot take for us to say Ole Miss is gonna win, given
I didn't
how
think it was a
Georgia has
hot
played.
take.
It's not a hot take at all. So
Georgia's been
like,
playing
good
like
job
playing.
on us for calling it, but like, that was
I mean,
you could
Georgia's
kind of
been
see
playing
it.
down to competition this whole year.
Yeah.
Like they have not firmly beat a team since like Auburn or Tennessee Tech. It's been a long time since Georgia's had an actual convincing win. And like I wouldn't even say the Texas game was a convincing win because there was a bit of that game where everyone thought Texas was coming back. Like they had scored 15 straight points. They were in a position. They were within one score. So I would say this is the first time they have had a like decisive win since they beat Auburn. And you know, that's that's just been the issue with this Georgia team this year. They just have not had momentum since they beat Clemson, and I think that really came to bite them in the ass here. Too many mistakes, too many fumbles. Like two fumbles from Georgia. It was either two or three. Beck threw an interception, back-breaking interception in deep in Ole Miss territory, and the offense just couldn't get anything going. Like credit to the Ole Miss defense, credit to Kiffin's play calling, Kiffin's scheming, but Ole Miss schemed something fierce there. Kiffin outcoached Kirby, and yeah, that was what we expected. I mean,
I don't think there's other thoughts to be said.
how
Good.
how would you what is your panic if you are a Georgia fan? What would you put the panic meter at right now?
Oh, very high. Extremely high. I would be higher. Like, whoa, pause.
I
I was
would
about
be
to say,
high.
I would be high right now.
I'm on
Um,
drugs.
no, you should be panicked because your quarterback is not looking great. And like you're about to play. I mean, your other losses have been to people ranked above you, and like, wait, no, yeah,
Yeah, both teams are ranked
yeah.
above Georgia that they
So
lost
like,
to.
yeah, you beat number one Texas, and but like Georgia was ranked above Ole Miss when they lost, and like now Tennessee is like much higher above them. And so I feel like I would be very concerned going into the Tennessee week because like that's gonna be because like that's the game. Like if you lose to Tennessee, you're out. Like that's it for the playoffs. Like you're
Should
done.
be.
Like yeah,
We
you'll get a
preface this with
should
should
be.
be. I
Good
mean,
Lord. If they finish like if they finish 9-3 and they put them in the playoffs over like
Indiana. That would be the
yeah,
team.
that would be the
There would
team.
have to be a genuine talk between 9-3 Georgia and 11-1 Indiana. I think
Hold
I
on.
think
They might put them over.
the issue is 10-2 Georgia probably gets in over 11-1 Indiana, but I don't know if 9-3 Georgia makes it in over 11-1 Indiana. And then we don't
They
even have
don't
to worry
deserve
about that if
to.
we beat Ohio State.
True. No, I would be very nervous as a Georgia fan. It would be time to hit the panic button because it's like I just saw someone who goes, a friend of ours who goes to UGA, like their Barstool UGA posted like scream like you have to keep the noise and the energy up against Tennessee on Saturday because if we lose, we're out of the playoffs. And it's like, so y'all are panicking. So I would be panicking
And it's going to
if
be
I
a
were them.
blackout. And to my knowledge, the last time Georgia had a blackout night game in Athens was in 2008, where Alabama came in and kicked their ass so hard they didn't wear the all black jerseys for another like 13 years. And that is an infamous game in Alabama lore when they
Although
walked into
I
Sanford
will
Stadium
say,
and beat them like a bitch.
yeah, but night home games can do a lot for a team.
Obviously not against Alabama.
Okay, but still, like night home games can be a turning point in a way for some people.
I thought
So,
that had a big deal to do with the Indiana Michigan game.
that it wasn't a night game.
That the fact that the second half of the game was a night game.
Oh, and then you stepped it up.
I mean, we definitely did not step it up in the second half against Michigan. I mean, we'll talk about it, but it was not great in the second half against Michigan.
Pause. Was that a home game for y'all?
Yeah, I
Okay,
was there.
cool. Just wondering. Oh yeah,
I
you
got
were.
a
I saw your
towel.
story.
I set up towels before the game on Friday. All the rally towels you saw in the stadium, I helped set them up.
Did you just get there like really early?
No, like on Friday because my major, which I'm a sports marketing and management major, I get cool opportunities that other people don't. Including I had the opportunity to volunteer at Big Noon Saturday this year that I wasn't able to do because I had a math test on Saturday for some reason. I get cool
That's just
guest
evil.
speakers. I got to hold the Larry O'Brien Trophy, which is the NBA Finals trophy. And another thing I got was to be able to set up the towels in the stadium on Friday, and I just got to kind of like sit in an empty Memorial Stadium and just kind of like chill out. It was fun. But that's not the point of this. The point of this is that Georgia needs to win. They need to win out. And now the Georgia Tech game isn't even looking as easy as it was before.
Yeah, that's the other thing. That's the other thing is like, not only do they need to win against Tennessee, I was about to say Texas, win against Tennessee to like get into the playoffs, they have to like win out in order to like keep any type of talk.
So Georgia Tech is, I wouldn't be too worried about that if I'm a Georgia fan. But, well, I mean, it depends. But like UMass, they're gonna steamroll. So I would say they have like 1.5 hard games left. I put a half on that Tech game because anything can happen
It could
against
go
Tech.
either way.
But
Tech is weird, bro.
Tech's been weird this year. They either play like high schoolers or they play really well. So I think it's gonna be
They
interesting to
were
see how that Tech
ranked at
game.
one point.
They were ranked at one point.
Not
And this is
anymore.
and I mean, before we segue into Tech, I wanted to say this earlier. They have that win against number one Texas, but might we remind ourselves they didn't play very well in that game, at least in the second half. They got bailed out by their defense and some pretty spotty officiating. So, I mean, hard to look at Georgia right now and say that that is one of the best 12 teams in the country because I just don't think they are. Um,
They're not,
Next,
but yeah.
their rivals about an hour west of Athens, Georgia Tech finally becomes the team to knock off Miami, beats them 28-23, and everyone everyone had seen this coming. Not maybe not the fact that it was going to be Tech that did it, but everyone knew that Miami was going to have this game where they weren't able to dance through the raindrops. They weren't that golden horseshoe that's kind of been up their ass since the Cal game in week 4 that wasn't going to help them at one point, and this was that game. They looked sluggish. Offense was not as good. Tech outcoached them, and Miami loses for the first time this season.
Sucks.
Except not really, because helps Alabama and
Well,
Indiana.
I mean, you're 9-0 entering into a game against what are they? They're 5-4, Georgia Tech.
Also, the nerds. Like you just never expect to lose to the nerds.
That's nice.
What? What would tell the nerd schools usually don't do very good.
It's true. The engineering school.
That's why Purdue sucks and Indiana's good because we're not the nerd school Purdue is. But also, I mean, we sucked at football for the greater part of the last 50 years before this season. So, you know,
That's why people don't want you to be good this year.
no, I
It's
know.
because
Name
like you
brand.
suck, and then they're like, no, I'm not saying it as a dig, but like if you're like you have sucked in history, in conference history, not conference history, in
Just
franchise
history.
history. Yeah, if you've sucked in your franchise history and then also like not a dig, but like playing more unranked teams that would be considered easier, that's why people like are hating that. Yeah.
Hey, you're preaching to the choir. I understand why everyone doesn't want us to be ranked in
Yes.
the top five this
I
year.
I like I have to preface this. Everything I say, I have to preface as it's not a
Well,
dig
because
because
every
I
single
said something that was kind of joking after the Michigan game, which I was like, "Can I make an Instagram reel of all the times you said last episode that you're going to like pimp slap Michigan and that you get to brag about it?" And then like with the actual score that happened and then you were like, well, I forget what you said, but it was like immediately a clap back and I was like, "Oh, okay."
okay, I apologize for. After the Michigan game, I was on quite possibly the most adrenaline high I think I've ever had as a sports, maybe not ever had as a sports fan, but like every single person coming out of that game was just like on the biggest high of all time. So that wasn't really like your fault. I was just kind of like very, very, very like amped.
Yeah, but this is
Um,
still why I have to preface everything like
I
it's
understand.
not a
No, I
dig.
understand.
It's not a dig
I
because
understand it's
everyone's
not a
hating on
dig.
Indiana and so you're like defensive about it.
Well, okay, yeah. I think it's because one of the reasons why I've been so defensive about Indiana this year is I've had to deal with the stupid ESPN analysts for like the last 2 or 3 weeks saying that we don't deserve to be where we are. And that's kind of frustrating because like we're having our best season ever and everyone's telling us that we're like overrated. And so it's like,
I
you know,
think
I
they
just like
don't you don't
I
deserve to
want
like say it. I mean, sure you could say they're overrated, but I feel like if you're laying into them, don't like lay in extremely until they actually show that like don't like wait for them to play Ohio State. Wait, if you're gonna say they're gonna get blown out by Ohio State in their first round of the playoffs, wait for that to happen. Like then you
that's one
can
of
be
the
like,
reasons
yeah, they
why
don't
I've been
deserve to
so
be there.
upset about this and why I've been so defensive over the last few weeks is because like I think it's annoying for people to talk about this like it's already happened. Like everyone's talking about Indiana like they've been blown out by Ohio State, but no one knows. Like that game hasn't happened yet. And so it feels disingenuous for me. It just seems like you're spewing hot takes because you want to appease the mass of like mouth breathing idiots on Twitter that have been hating Indiana for the last like week. And so
I
it's
will
like
say nothing is more, this is again, it's not a dig, but
you don't
nothing
need to
is
keep
more
prefacing
frustrating.
that.
I
I get it.
do.
I get it.
Nothing is me at least when we're like freaking we're South
You
Carolina.
just you
We're doing our
you
thing.
froze, you froze, you froze. Go back. Go back from what you said.
To
Nothing
what?
annoys me
Okay,
more.
nothing is more frustrating and slightly annoying than when like I'll be like, I don't know. I feel like not a dig. I feel like you don't want South Carolina to be good in the way that like every time I try to celebrate a win or like obviously we've agreed not to talk about the LSU game because we do not agree at all. Um and I
We
feel
should
like it's
honestly
just
implement that rule about the Alabama game as well.
this our Alabama, the South Carolina
The South
Alabama game,
Carolina Alabama
probably,
game, yeah.
probably. But like I don't know, I feel like frustrated whenever like we're like have any type of victory, and then like I feel like we get shut down for it, and then like if I feel, and then like meanwhile Indiana's just over here like rolling through, and I'm like, are you kidding me? Like
Yeah.
that's why
No, I
I'm
can
a
get
little bit
that. Well,
frustrated.
I
I'm
mean,
like, are
I
you
think
joking?
that's true. I think South Carolina got their flowers when they destroyed A&M. And like, I mean, I know, at least I tried to give you guys your flowers for beating A&M because that was a great win. Like,
It
A&M
was.
played like shit, but it was because you guys kind of forced them into it. I think South Carolina's playing their best ball right now, which is kind of the thing with Alabama. Like South Carolina had a pretty interesting beginning of the season. Like they didn't play very well up until the Oklahoma game, I think is where you guys flipped a switch. And like you guys have been playing your best ball since that Oklahoma game. And so it's like people have been looking at the beginning of the season for South Carolina, maybe even me included up until like A&M game, and been like, okay, yeah, this team isn't as good as everyone says they are because didn't really play very well at the beginning of the season, sans the LSU game for like 3 quarters. And so it's like that past precedent comes back to bite you guys. That being said, South Carolina is 100% playing their best football right now. Vandy game, locked them down. A&M game was your best game of the season. And so, like, Missouri's beatable. I think Clemson is beatable. There's a 100% chance that South Carolina could go undefeated in the rest of the season. But what they just need to do
Hope
is make
so.
sure that they don't start looking forward. Because that's what happened with Alabama. Alabama got trapped in this place where they started looking forward, and then they ended up playing like crap against South Carolina. Second half of the Georgia game, the Tennessee game, the Vandy game. And so I think it's
That's
like
my only qualm. That's one of my that's like my big qualm with like our takes on the Alabama South Carolina game is that like I felt like I don't know. I was just like it's kind of unfair when people are just like, yeah, South Carolina only won because Bama played like shit. And I'm like, yeah, sure, that could be like a big reason, but I'm like, we still played better than we have. Like we still played like a better game that game than we
for
had
a
like in
bit,
previous ones.
there was still that old South Carolina in that game. But they fixed everything after the. Have you guys lost since the Bama game?
No,
Yeah.
no.
No, because
Wait, was Ole
the
Miss right after? Ole Miss was before.
Ole Miss was before, and then it was
So no,
Bama. Was
we've
it? Or
only
was it
lost to
Bama and then
LSU,
Ole
Ole
Miss?
Miss, and Bama. Hold on,
Yeah.
let me see.
Which, like, you guys have lost to 3 ranked teams, and including 2 teams in the top 11.
Our
But,
team has gone. Our season has gone basically exactly how it was supposed to. Um,
well, except for the win against A&M.
yeah, but
Especially after
like,
A&M was coming off that
yeah,
LSU
that's
win.
also like it's not exactly how it's supposed to because it's honestly like we were supposed to be creamed by LSU, we were supposed to be creamed by Alabama, and we weren't. So it's not exactly, but
I
yeah,
would say the only game you guys got, like, truly creamed in was Ole Miss.
yeah, it's true. That's what I'm
Um,
saying. It's like, yeah, we're like we're 6-3, but it's like the three losses are like almost won and almost upset, and then actually freaking lost.
I think South Carolina is an interesting case. And it'll be interesting to see how they get handled for the next few weeks. Um,
We're supposed to go to
they need to keep doing what Indiana is.
Vegas.
They need to keep doing what Indiana's doing, which before the Michigan game at least, which is just no mercy, like foot on throat. You need to destroy every single opponent you play for the rest of the season because
You know
like you
how
can't let anything up to interpretation. Anyway, next game, Texas beat Florida 49-17. Say it. It's your turn.
it's my turn. Who cares?
Okay. Next, Penn State beat Washington 35-6. Who cares? Tennessee beats Mississippi State 33-14. Not a who cares. Well, you can who cares it. One thing, Iam Aliava getting injured determines whether or not they beat UGA. And I actually thought
Yeah,
they
but
they
that's not
played
the
pretty
actual
decently
game
without him.
itself.
But yeah. Anyway,
Slightly, who cares? The
um,
outcome of the game is like a little
yeah.
bit caring.
And then BYU and Utah, which the
Okay, I
Holy
would like
War.
to see multiple camera angles of the holding because I saw like one that was kind of crappy and I really couldn't tell.
Um, Before we talk about the game, greatest jersey matchup that I have seen in a hot second. The
Because they
all
rival
blues
each
against
other.
the all reds.
Yeah, and they have like the
Perfect.
same stripe pattern too.
Perfection.
It's literally
Any
like if you take like a basic, it's like those basic football video games, and they just like 1v1.
perfection. Everything down to the last minute detail. What wasn't perfection was the way that this game was reffed. Um, and the holding call, I feel like it kind of was a holding call. I've seen multiple angles of it, and I think it's like it's light and like so you don't need. It could have gone either way. Either was it like I think it could go either way. I think the real fun part of this has been the fallout, including Utah's athletic director being quoted in saying, hold on, one sec, pulling it up. Quoted and then fined, by the way, like completely fined. Like they got fined. He got
Fined by
fined, I
the
think,
Big
like fifty
12.
thousand dollars. Said
By the
I've been
Big
an
12?
athletic direct. Yeah, he got fined by the Big 12 for like for 50K for going after the officials. He said I've been an athletic director for 12 years. This game was absolutely stolen from us. We were happy to be in the Big 12, but after this, we are not. I'm disgusted by the officiating crew tonight. Um,
Dang.
so scorched earth. Um,
That's where
and
the thing about the holding calls like that, or like calls that yeah, it is, you can call it if it's like a light call. It just depends on how you're calling the rest of the game. Because like if you're not calling other light calls in the moments that don't literally determine the game, then calling the one kind of like light each ish call in the clutch moment, then it's crappy.
yeah, I think BYU is kind of dancing through the raindrops right now. They've had a few of these kind of more nervy than they should games, but they keep winning, and there's nothing we can say against people who just win. I mean, that would make us hypocrites for what we both say about South Carolina and Indiana. So,
We don't just win though.
well, you're on
We don't
three
dance.
straight.
We kind of
But yeah,
dodge.
raindrops have been danced through by BYU. I still think they're going to win the Big 12, but um, it's going to come down
They're gonna
to
still win.
they have a pretty easy schedule: Kansas, Arizona State, and Houston. Um, so we'll see how they end up panning out. Um, and then look, Notre Dame beats Florida State 52-3.
It's your turn technically.
I I feel bad. Like at the beginning of the season, I was like really enjoying seeing Florida State lose, but now I'm
You're
like
1-9.
like Mike Norvell fired their offensive coordinator, wide receivers coach, and like someone else today. So it's like I feel bad. I feel slightly bad.
It's just a little sad.
Well, we'll give it a sad. Who cares?
We'll give it a I'm sorry.
We'll give it an I'm sorry. Um, Nevada, Boise State beats Nevada in a pretty close game, 28-21. Ashton Genty, God, he played so bad. Only 34 carries for 209 yards
Only
and
three
three and
touchdowns.
only three touchdowns. Come on, if he wants to win the Heisman, I need better numbers than that. No, Genty is still, in my opinion, the number one. Number one, he should be the number one in the Heisman race right now. He is single-handedly Boise State's team at this point. Um, they didn't play great. I mean, they can't lose for the rest of this. But yeah, it
I
was.
mean, hey, Carson Beck, man. Think about
Why are we
him
bringing up Carson Beck?
for a Heisman. I'm kidding.
Oh right, yeah. He only threw one
Number
interception this
one
week.
country in the nation.
He
He
only
could
threw
be a
one
Heisman
interception this
winner.
week. Yeah.
He could be a Heisman winner.
Uh-huh. Speaking of Big 12 teams that really fell off a mountain, Kansas beats Iowa State 45-36. Remember when 2 weeks ago Iowa State was 7-0 and ranked in the top 10 and
What a time.
was like contending for the Big 12?
Yep.
Yeah, that was fun. Same old Iowa State though. Bad loss. Kansas, for the first time this whole season, played like the team everyone thought they were going to be this year. Um, and so, yeah. And then, Pitt lost to UVA. So another team that was undefeated 2 weeks ago has now dropped two in a row, and is 7-2 and has dropped out of the rankings. Okay, Pitt. I mean, I guess the, SMU wins the ACC at this point, I suppose. Um, Kind of seemed to be the trend this week was with teams losing that maybe they shouldn't have lost. Um, Colorado beats Texas Tech 41-27. I think it's time we start. Oh, God, I can't believe I'm about to say this. Can't believe
Don't.
I think it's time we start saying Colorado's good. They're gonna play BYU. They're gonna play BYU for the Big 12, and they might win.
Do you think Shiloh moved up in his own rankings after he scored a
No,
touchdown with the fumble?
probably not. Speaking
Dang.
of one of the Sanders sons, though, at the end of the game, a Texas A&M ball boy decided to just swipe a football out of Travis Hunter's hand, and then Deion Sanders Jr. pushed him. Also, Deion Sanders was mad about Texas Tech fans throwing bottles of beer at the players, And then the ref was like, okay, yeah, but your players like waved kisses to them, which makes no sense. But you go off
Okay.
Big 12 refs. Um,
Interesting.
it's going to be interesting to see what happens as it pertains to the Big 12.
I
Because,
mean, ref wise, people aren't very happy with them,
no, but team wise, we might be hurtling towards BYU versus Colorado,
which is
which is
crazy.
kind of insane for the Big 12, given at the beginning of the season, everyone assumed it was going to be Utah, but then Utah fell off a cliff. So now, and then everyone was like, Iowa State? Then Iowa State fell off a cliff, and now it's BYU. So, eh.
That's where the Mormons
um,
are, right?
yeah, BYU is the Mormon school. They drink their chocolate milk.
Chocolate milk at parties.
Have you seen the thing on Instagram when
Which
they're
thing? When they ask them so
he's
many
like,
things, what's your
they
favorite
ask
party
like,
drink? And they're like,
he's like,
water.
whoop whoop beer,
Will be
and he
a
goes whoop beer, and the kid's
yeah.
like, beer. He's like, my mommy
Yeah.
let me drink it.
Yeah, I've seen
He's
that.
like,
Yes.
you don't get your kingdom when you die.
What
Sorry
is it?
if
I'm telling Pastor.
we shouldn't be making fun of a religion, but it is funny.
Well, they were making fun of their own religion. That's the only reason we're bringing it up.
It was funny. Um,
They were
uh,
literally making fun of themselves.
you don't get your own kingdom when you die.
Anyways,
Anyways, Washington State beat Utah State 49-28. Um, I if we want to call this a who cares game, that's fine. I just want to say Washington State could get an at-large bid. No one really kind of knows how to gauge them because they played no one this year, but they're 8-1. So, I mean, they could finish 11-1. Just throwing that out there. No one, I don't really know what to do with Washington State. Um, they play New Mexico, Oregon State, and Wyoming for the rest of the year. Their only loss has been to Boise State, who is ranked. So,
go off.
go off Washington State. Maybe we'll get an at-large bid. Um, Next, Clemson beats Virginia Tech 24-14. Man, if you're a South Carolina fan, you probably, I mean, obviously didn't like the result of this game, but like what you saw from Clemson.
I don't like them, which is true. Yeah, I don't know. I don't like any of them. Cade
Any of
Cub
them.
Club Nick. Why can't I say his name? He has a very normal name. Anyway, threw an interception that I think didn't they like that was a didn't they run it back for a touchdown? Yes. No. Yes. I don't know. But yeah, I don't know. I'm really nothing would give me more joy than to beat them at home. I'm at Death Valley. Um and watch them run down their little hill and then destroy them. But I'm not going to make any stances on how the season's going to go because that never goes well for me. So I'm just going to say that. That would bring me much happiness. The
Immense
day,
joy.
2 days after my birthday would be great. Happy birthday to me.
Um, Happy birthday to you. Um, then, did you see the end of the Missouri-Oklahoma game?
I
Because
don't
this
think
was
it's.
it was kind of insane. So Missouri scrapes away a win here, 30-23. Missouri's
Oh,
so okay.
the scoop and score?
So Missouri scores to make it 23-23 with a minute left in the game. And at that point, it was just kind of like all Oklahoma needs to do is just let this game go to overtime. What Oklahoma does is allow a 17-yard scoop and score with 20 seconds left and lose. How Missouri is 7-2 is beyond. They suck. I don't know how they're 7-2. Um, I
Hopefully they'll be 7-3.
They probably will be if we're being honest with ourselves. Um, and then in your patriotic update of the week, Army beats North Texas 14-3. Big thing out of this game is Army trailed for a bit, making it that now there's no teams in college football that have been leading for every single minute of this game of every single minute of their games for the whole season. Never trailing. That's what I should have said. I feel like
Good
Army's still
season.
kind of disrespected, but we'll see how they show up against Notre Dame this week. They are Indiana at this moment. If they play well against Notre Dame and like God forbid even beat them, then we know they're legit. But if they go in there and lose by 60,
And they're
like Navy
just like
did,
Navy.
man, if Notre Dame wins that game, we'll know patriotism is dead. Um, our games,
Can I go first?
I'll do one of mine.
Wait, 1-1. Yeah.
We'll do 1-1-1. I'll talk about the IU game first. So, Indiana beats Michigan 20-15. I am a little conflicted on this game. We played pretty arguably our worst game of the season, but the defense showed out. Um, Curtis Rourke little daunted by the Michigan defensive line. Offensive line played really poorly in the second half. I thought Rourke just didn't have enough time to really do anything. Rourke threw a back-breaking interception deep in our own territory to start the second half. Um, I thought we allowed Davis Warren like to. I mean, like his stat line isn't good. Don't get me wrong. It's 16 for 32, 137 yards. But like it's Davis Warren. So shouldn't be throwing more than like 60. He kind of sucks. So I thought the secondary was a little bit of an issue, which I've kind of been noticing in the last few weeks. The secondary hasn't been as good as we thought it would be. Um, Kind of sadly, D'Angelo Pons got kind of wrecked on a few of these, which sucks because I love Pons. But I mean, hey, all we had to do was keep winning. We're doing the job. We get a much needed bye week before Ohio State. And I think that's where we figure out what this team is. Um, and yeah, it was a good win. I mean, I hate Michigan, so seeing us beat them was pretty cool. Seeing all their fans be really sad was also pretty cool. And um, yeah, it was a interesting game. Interesting game. Um, yeah,
Did you get to try? You didn't? Did you trash talk your parents?
I did, but they were in Belize, so they just kept responding with pictures of beaches, which ruined my flow a little bit. Kind of, I just texted them after the game and told them that they couldn't cheat this year, and that's the reason why they sucked, which is a bad faith claim, but it's funny, so I don't really care. Um, yeah, you want to talk about South Carolina Vandy?
Sure. So I was there. Nashville's a fun place to be. There was a shocking number of South Carolina fans there. It was like actually crazy.
I wouldn't say it's
Um,
shocking. Vandy never has any home fans. This is like a trend for like 5 years.
well, I mean, it was pretty packed today, this week, because it was homecoming. It was Vandy's homecoming. So their student section was actually very packed. Their band is actually very small, but their student section was like actually packed, and they had like quite a few people there. A couple fans who kept asking to steal our hats, which was interesting. But other than that, it was really the first quarter was or first half was a little boring, but then it got more exciting. Only like we won 28-7, so it was pretty good. Um, Rocket Sanders freaking god mode. I don't even know. Like ran he's like led in rushing and receiving yards for the game for everybody. And so freaking crazy. Ran for 2 touchdowns, caught one for another touchdown. I feel like our defense played decently. Lenore Sellers was also like up in his game a little bit. Um, Diego Pavia, we've said, is freaking crazy. But also like I feel like we did a good job holding him this game. Um and he only got like I mean, I know he's like a running QB and he's like freaking crazy, but he only like ran for 65 yards and only scored 1 touchdown. So, I mean, I don't know. I'm really proud of this game. It was like a little bit like I mean, the first half was kind of like a little boring, and obviously this is gonna sound a little I don't know if this is gonna sound like I don't know what the word is, but like maybe a little petty, maybe a little tad bit narcissistic. But I didn't realize how good of a stadium environment Williams Bryce is. I know it's Vandy, and like half of their stadium is like under construction. Half of their stadium's under construction, and it's like it's not very big, and they don't have a lot of fans. But I'm also like, compared to the normal stadium I'm used to, I was like, this is kind of boring. No offense to them, but but other than
That's
that,
foul. That's foul. You're not wrong, but that's foul.
I know I was like, do they do anything? But like, there's no sandstorm. I got this. Hold on. I took this from, they were handing these out for Vandy fans. And we were like, can we get one? And she was like, it's for Vandy. And I was like, I'm gonna just take one. Well, she said we could, but I was like, I'm gonna just take one. And then we got told that we could not show it in our stands. He was like, there will be no gold over here. So I put it in my pocket, but then we won. So I'm able to. Anyways, I felt really good about this game. And so for us to like have a good rest of the end of the season, we just got to play as confidently as we have played after the Alabama game. And so just keeping up with that and hopefully win out. Should be okay against Missouri if we keep up the confidence, keep up like the momentum that our offense has. Our defense stays level headed and good. We have good level headed, good competent O line. We should be pretty good the rest of the season if we can keep the momentum going and keep doing the good things that we're doing.
Yeah.
That said like a true coach.
Um, Alabama beat LSU by a lot. This was pure boots to ass murder ball that I have been wanting this team to play this whole goddamn year. And I won't call it joyless murder ball because holy shit, this game was joyful. I have, So basically, Jalen Milroe had 12 carries for 185 yards and 4 touchdowns, meaning in his 2 games he started against LSU, he has 360 rushing yards and 8 touchdowns as a quarterback.
Good job,
So,
bro.
God, they played incredible. Defense was on point. The only reason they scored 13 is because we put our second stringers in. Offense played the best they've played the whole game, the whole year, I think. This is the most complete I've seen them be. It was raining, and that didn't really affect them as much as I thought it would.
Oh, ours too. Sorry.
Um, but yeah, Night Death Valley had no effect on this team, which is big. It's big because this team has kind of consistently been dog shit on the road for like the last 4 years, and they weren't bad. They kept the penalties kind of low. No turnovers, which was big. Forced 3 from Nussmeier. And yeah, Milroe didn't have a great passing day, but he didn't need to. When you rush for 4 goddamn touchdowns, you don't need to pass the ball. So, I mean, the running game carried. Like, running game had themselves a day. 312 yards on the ground. And yeah, it was the game I've been waiting to see out of them for a long time. Since I saw the first half of the Georgia game, that I knew this team could do that, and this felt like the first half of the Georgia game, but for two halves. And so we kind of got a tin horn game against Mercer this week. So barring any sort of catastrophe, they really don't have too many challenges on the rest of their schedule. They play Mercer at Oklahoma and then at home against Auburn. So I think all they need to do is win out. They'll be in the playoffs. I said, after the Tennessee game, they controlled their destiny. What they needed to do is win out. And they've beat the hardest test remaining on their schedule. And so I'm really happy. I thought that was the best they've played. And it was cool. It was fun. It was joyless. Seeing Brian Kelly complain and whine like a little bitch on the sidelines was incredible. At one point complaining to the refs, they're rushing 8. He made a big deal over the fact that Alabama, with like 30 seconds left in the game, kept running all-out blitzes on Garrett Nussmeier, which, hey man, if you don't want us to keep running all-out blitzes, take your starters out of the game. So always fun beating Brian Kelly because he's kind of an asshole. Um, yeah, Roll Tide. It's interesting to see where this team goes. They got a ceiling, and I think it's probably about seventh in the rankings. Or stuff could start falling our way, and who knows? Maybe we'll luck our way into the SEC championship game. But right now, they're not they're sixth in the SEC, so they got to have stuff ahead of them fall their way. Um, yeah, next week, next week games. Any objection?
Oh, I thought you were objection and just talking about next week. Go ahead. Um, I don't know. There's not a lot of double ranked matchups. Hold on, let me see.
I thought Clemson Pitt was going to be good, but then Pitt
Oh,
decided they wanted to suck.
actually, the only is it the only double ranked matchup? Is the only double ranked matchup us?
Tennessee, Georgia.
Oh, Jesus. What the heck
Jesus
is wrong with
Christ.
me?
Week 11
Why
is
can't I?
a man. Week 11
Where
looks
is
kind
it?
of mid. I mean,
Thanks.
I know we say that and then like shit hits the fan, but week 11 looks mid. Looks really mid.
I don't know. I'm excited for our game. Back at Willie B.
Obviously, track the Imaliava situation. I think if he plays, Tennessee beats Georgia. If he doesn't, Georgia wins and keeps their season alive. Um,
I am gonna go on the contrary. I'm gonna say if he plays, definitely the Tennessee wins. And I'm not gonna take a stance if he doesn't play, like who wins or loses. But I think if he doesn't play, it's just gonna be a lot closer. And I feel like Tennessee might still pull it out, but it'll be a lot closer than if he doesn't. If he does, I think they win unanimously, like crazily.
wow, damn.
Sorry. I don't know. Maybe Georgia can prove us wrong. Because remember, I thought that the Texas Georgia game was going to be really exciting, and it wasn't really. Um,
We also both predicted
but
Georgia to get like pimp slapped in that game.
yeah. So
To our
I'm
credit.
probably going to eat my words. Who knows? But I don't know. I think if Elo Maliava plays, there's there
Iamaliava.
Elo Maliava. If he plays
Iamaliava might have the nicest name to say in college football.
Elo Maliava,
Okay.
sure ain't
I
Cade
cannot
Klubnik.
believe that what I'm about to say. I might. I can't believe I'm cheering that. I think I'm cheering for a Tennessee win. I'm not
I
cheering
mean,
for Tennessee.
for
I'm
a
cheering
Tennessee win.
against
No,
Georgia.
no, 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 no. Pause. Yeah, I was about to say you can cheer for a Georgia loss,
I'm cheering for a Georgia loss, not a
not
Tennessee
a
win.
Tennessee win.
I mean, the greatest case scenario is that Sanford Stadium collapses in on itself a day before the game when no one's in it, and then we don't play the game.
No one
And both
plays.
teams lose.
I don't think
If it's
that would
possible, I
happen.
want both teams to lose. Um, yeah. We want to put this week on the red zone gauge?
What's second right now?
Oh, wow.
No, I just want to know. I'm trying to like
Second
gauge where we
is
were.
week 7 at a 9.5.
And then what's third?
Week 6 at a 9. I'm down to put this I'm going to say 8 or 8.5. This was a fun week.
It's like a higher 8. I'll say 8.5.
All right. This takes fourth place over week
Oh,
1.
I just knocked down all my rally towels.
I have 3 rally towels now.
I have. Let's see. 1, 2,
Oh, our rally towels are
3,
cooler than yours.
4, 5, and then this one I just get for being here. That's my school. 6.
I think our rally towels are cooler than yours. Not the ones we had against Michigan. This was boring. This was boring.
I was about to say that's what you're about to say is cooler.
But
Ours is just the same every game.
this was awesome.
That's cool.
And
Ours are just the same. Yours are just memes. Ours are just commemorative.
ours are cool.
This one's good. This was Texas A&M, obviously. Anyways,
Yeah, shit out of here.
I'll get another one this Saturday and next Saturday.
I don't know if we're doing rally towels against Purdue.
We always do. Do you know
I don't
why,
know
Nate?
why.
Sandstorm. Anyways, you need to match my energy. Sandstorm is magical. Come to a night game.
I mean, I
It's
want to.
great.
Oh, oh, hold on. I need to see if this happens before we record next. So Indiana plays South Carolina in basketball, and I don't know if it's
Oh yeah.
before the next time we
Hold on, hold
record.
on.
It is. It's on Saturday.
It's this Saturday?
It's this Saturday.
Dang it. I was
So
like gonna go with somebody. He was like that was like, do you want to go to the Indiana basketball game? And I was like, maybe, but I can't. But we'll see how it goes. You're probably gonna win.
Indiana basketball looks mid as fuck this.
We lost to North Florida.
We almost lost. Actually, no, we beat both. I mean, we'll probably win, but I don't
We're
like our head
two and
coach very
one.
much. We're 2-0. But it's the first time both of our colleges have played each other in anything, so we get the Red Zone Bowl
Our
Part
women's teams
2.
don't play, right?
I hope to God our women's teams don't play. We lost to goddamn Harvard.
And
We
our
can't.
men's team lost to North Florida. So
Our men's team is better than your men's team, and your women's team is better than our women's team.
our women's team is better than all women's teams. That's just how it is
I don't know,
sometimes.
man. Alabama's 2-0.
We're number one in the country. We're number
Yeah,
one
but
country in the nation right
yeah,
now.
but rankings are subjective, and I think in my rankings, Alabama's actually ahead of South Carolina in women's basketball.
How many national championships have you guys won
18.
in women's basketball?
Oh, you never specified. I was thinking we
How
were
many
talking
women's
football.
basketball national
I
championships
don't
have you
know.
won?
Like 4.
2017, 2022,
Yeah, but you guys had no competition in those
2024.
years.
2024?
Yeah,
You're gonna say we had no competition in 2024 when
yeah,
we played Iowa and Caitlin Clark in the freaking championship game.
yeah. They were a one-person team.
Okay, whatever.
Full
All
disclosure, that
right.
is a joke. I'm not that stupid. I'm just trying to piss Riley off.
Jesus Christ. My
I'm not
God.
that stupid.
Ugh. Freaking. Ugh. Yeah. Okay.
Look who ends the episode crashing out.
Mm. You don't come from my women's basketball team. I will fight you. I will fly to Indiana and I'll physically fight you.
I'd win though.
This is true. It's because you're like 6 feet tall.
6'2.5", almost 6'3".
5'4". Barely.
My favorite thing to do is send Riley Instagram reels of like your like 5'4" friend when there like a strong gust of wind comes.
We did that thing once where it was like if you're whatever height and you take a picture of like what your friends look like from your height. And I was like actually appalled at that. That was actually terrifying. Not
Yeah,
terrifying.
you
It
were
was
short.
disgusting. I literally, it was like, it was, it was, I hated
Do
it.
you even come
Anyways,
up to my like head, or are you like
no,
here?
I go to your shoulder. I think slightly below too. There's a picture once where I think it was from, spoiler alert, we were in marching band. Um,
Not like we didn't talk about that last year.
yeah,
We missed
it
like
was like,
15 episodes because of it.
yeah, this is true. Like, this is why we didn't have any continuity this year or last year. But like,
We
there's a
finally
picture.
became the kings of continuity this year.
Well, not quite. We did. We have done every week, but we've also like, I'm desperately trying to stall and find this photo of this photo. Okay,
Yeah,
permission to
did you
show a
get
picture of us in marching band
from?
senior night.
Yeah.
Okay, there's a
Oh, is this the picture with?
no. This
Is
is just it's
is it
the
just the
group
two of us, or
picture.
is it the one with guest in it?
No one else is going to be shown in this photo.
Okay.
It's just going to be
We
two of
have
us.
to make
I've
sure we
blocked out.
don't like.
I've strategically blocked out. But look at the height difference. It's
And look, I'm wearing
wild.
I'm wearing this hat.
I didn't bring that hat with me. It's at my house. Um, but yeah, the height difference is crazy. It's actually appalling, but whatever. We're not going to talk about
Well,
that.
that was a fun episode, fun week. Hopefully next week we can actually record on time. Oh my God. Oh wait. Okay, no, we can talk about this after recording. But how are we gonna record 2 weeks from now when you're in New York and I'm back in
I've
Georgia?
thought about that.
I
I've
just thought
thought
about that.
about
I
that.
thought,
I gotta
God damn
look.
it, Riley, why do you have to go to New York for a cool opportunity? We could have recorded Red Zone together for the first time since last season.
Yeah, but we have all of December, basically. Almost, kind of.
Not really. We can do bowls. We can do the bowl episode together if I'm not back by if I'm
Oh, I have to.
oh
I go to the bowl game. Oh my God.
we cursed ourselves when we said Kings of Continuity 5 minutes ago.
You did this. You did this. Anyways,
I didn't do
it's
anything.
fine. We'll figure it out. We'll
Well,
figure it out.
I've been Nate Cohen.
And I've been Riley Davis.
And on that note, that was the Red Zone podcast. Bye bye. Bye bye. Bye bye. Screw Georgia.